micromanage separate my house from my car. Well,
Josh is on, I Zoom.
Hey,
Hey, Josh.
Hi, Preston. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Preston.
hello.
Hello, okay.
I even remember to mute so that we don't have that ridiculous sound coming out of us.
So Deb, you could do all
Is the,
this if
owl
we met in person, right?
Video working?
I don't know, it's a good.
I don't.
Is
see
there
it.
Go to
any
Gemini,
Gemini,
so there's two of me.
It
Is there
didn't
anyone
show
on the
it, yeah.
commission
Reading out.
that knows how to do this?
Well, it's on.
Any commissioners?
Can you see us?
Connected.
I mean,
Becky?
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There it is. Okay, ready to do this?
Oh, please.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Kim was late today, I'm sorry.
Good, good.
Checking our.
I'll move.
We messing it up.
This thing.
Stop moving it.
Are they really? Oh, God.
Still not.
And well worth it, I'm sure. Don't worry about it himself. Happened there's something for.
I did not.
Really?
My husband actually, the Irishman that he is, was not. The corned beef allergy. I think his mother. Kind of ruined it for him as a child, so he doesn't really like it. So we don't ever have it on St. Patrick's Day. I did make and I meant to bring a loaf with me and totally forgot about it. I made Irish soda bread.
Of course you did.
Because
Oh, yeah.
I love it and nobody else eats it, so I only make it once a year and I gorge on it
Eat
for
the whole
days.
thing.
Right, it's good
And
stuff.
it's a problem. It's a personal problem.
It's an
but,
issue, yeah.
Yeah, but I did make that, and I was hoping to make some Guinness cupcakes. That did not happen.
So you
Yeah.
could just bring.
Just.
Well, it's still in the fridge because I want to make the cupcakes,
Oh,
but I
okay.
drank the other three
Oh, okay.
over the course of the last month.
Did you split the G,
Did I do what?
split the G? You're not into
Yeah.
drinking Guinness, you have to, they have a proper Guinness glass,
Oh, yeah.
and it's got the name across it, you're supposed to take the
Oh.
first swallow and get it down.
Down to the middle of the
G.
G.
Oh, some kind of
All right.
drinking.
Wow.
I'm not a heavy drinker, so I was not aware
Well, now
of
you are
the
for next
proper
year.
protocols for Guinness drinking. I do know that it's ironic when we go to dinner and I'm drinking Guinness and my
I hope that
husband
was
is,
recorded.
it is, and my husband is drinking
Oh, yeah.
his regular choice of drink or whatever. They always switch them, God bless you, they always switch them, thinking he's the one getting the Guinness and.
Yeah.
We have to try that at some meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but this is being
I think
recorded.
at the
Yeah.
end of the, after we get all
It's a
the
good thing they
editing
have the
done.
non-alcoholic version.
All right, shall we call this to order? We good? We
You,
recording?
you can call to order. I will be pulling up documents while you
All
start
right.
over.
Calling to order the Stormwater Bylaw Working Group meeting from March 18th, 2025. We're gonna do a roll call. John Salem,
Here,
Josh Levy.
Here.
Sue Barber,
Here,
Janine, no, okay. Prentice.
Preston's here.
All right, wait, in
Prentice Hall. I
defense,
know,
I
I
worked
know,
at
Prentice
Prentice
Hall.
Hall years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
All right.
That
Preston,
explains that.
Sorry.
Preston, you're gonna need to change your name.
I gotta call you Hope and Miss.
It's okay, I understand.
Tom Ryder.
Yeah.
Deb Anderson,
Here.
Tripp is not here and Joe is not here, and I am here, so that's it. We have minutes to approve. Did anyone read the minutes? Any changes,
I couldn't find anything, it looked great.
right? Josh, anything?
And the
No.
heavens open.
Okay, all right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I so moved.
All right, great, second.
A second.
All right, discussion. Hearing none, let's have a vote. John,
Yes,
Josh,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
Janine's not here, Preston.
Yes.
AKA Prentice.
Tom,
Yes.
Deb,
it's all hope.
Yes.
Joe's, and the chair votes yes. All right, so the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is to jump into bylaw, all the time. All
All
right.
by law, all day. So I did update the draft in the folder. So the one that says copy at the end of it is the most up to date with all of our edits. Oh, look at you, Deb, all painted and pretty. So I took out, so it's shorter.
I
at
should have
least,
printed
and
out one for you.
takes-
Well, you know, I'm waiting to, well, until we finish. I did copy this copy, but I have so many, I'm tired of getting new cartridges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me know if you
Maybe
need me
we
to
can
print it out.
print it here before you leave.
You wanna share it or I can share it?
I'm sharing it right now.
Yeah, but hold on. Oddly, I'm locked out. Let's go back.
Locked out. How are you locked out?
Site can't be reached.
You need a site.
The whole world is down. I'm gonna jump to my phone.
I was gonna say, if you're on the Wi-Fi, that's why you can't.
Well, celebrating the splashdown.
Wow.
Okay.
Then hurries meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Is this
Yes.
a-
Make her
gee.
a panelist.
Oh,
All right.
Janine just joined.
Yeah,
Okay, so Janine is here, so we can add her to the attendance.
hey Janine,
Hi, Janine.
Do you want to?
I will see her on. She's right there.
up there,
You need a promoter.
I can if you want me to, but.
click on her and then make her.
Can I make her? Can I promote her?
Do I have to
I
be
don't
here?
know.
Are you able to
When
promote
would you need to
Janine?
do that?
Yeah,
When do-
I can't, Kim, can you
I'm sorry.
promote Janine? Is it you?
I'm sorry, I have to pay attention here. Sorry. Hold on, hold on. Oh my God. We can talk.
Chat. There she is.
There she is.
Sorry, I couldn't say anything.
Gee,
That was
I'm
by
here.
design. Just kidding.
I was like, I'm here, they can't hear me.
Yeah, nope. Can you see the screen with the,
I can, yes, thank you.
okay. So basically, we were on chapter 9. We'll be ended at chapter 8, but, so chapter 9 is the next one up on deck. So I will go directly to that section. Permits, I do have it up and it is rather large, so I'm hoping everybody can see it well enough.
I think I added this copy accidentally
That's okay.
today.
That's okay. I will get rid of one, so it'll just say draft stormwater bylaw.
Yeah.
I will get rid of that. That's the one I'm working on right now, so actually, let's see. Well, no, I'll keep this one and we'll save it and I'll save it as and we'll be fine. So, so the first one is a permit section. Needham doesn't currently have a permit section in their bylaws.
Yes, it does.
Well, I shouldn't say not a permit section. It doesn't have an opening paragraph, an introductory permits section, part to the section of permits.
But it has a neat piece of information that I think would fit nicely right at that point.
Yep, okay,
Yeah, if you-
so,
I mean, I pulled up, I've got the original, but it's 7.4.1. And I think it's kind of comparable to what the others do, and I thought it was pretty well written,
okay,
so it might just slip in there
all right, let me pull that one up as well.
if you're able to do your magic and pull that in.
All right,
It's 2 paragraphs.
and what do you think of the 25%? How does that work? What was it?
Say again? Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
All person required to obtain a building permit for new construction and or additions greater than 25% of the existing building footprint. Footprint or, yeah, you don't care if you're going up.
so the question is like, should that, like, if someone doesn't have anything drainage and they're building up a
Yeah,
full floor,
yeah,
and they have the, I think they're gonna have the equipment and materials and expertise necessary to, you know, to continue.
Yeah.
If that's 25% going up,
okay.
that's my,
So it's-
my opinion,
And, oh, yeah, we
So-
have the word footprint,
you know, it only says footprint, so
right?
that means an addition off the side of the house.
Yeah, so we need to capture, if you're doing 25% additional, you need something on the second floor.
Second floor,
Are
yeah,
you required to start capturing water?
no, not according,
We
well,
want
the
to
way I interpret it is not according to this bylaw.
Okay. Do we want to make that the case?
I'm seeing a lot of second floor additions and they're have the ability to,
Yeah.
so.
Explain that to me, so, and I've been sort of noticing houses much more when
Yeah,
I, you know,
we've been seeing some second floor additions being added,
but is it increasing the impervious
it's
area?
not though.
So are you getting any more runoff?
But you don't, they don't have anything to begin with, so they have nothing to begin with, so
So is this the opportunity to capture that?
while they have the equipment there.
I thought it was greater than 25% or for greater than 25%, that they had to capture the runoff. Oh, so I see, so it would be the same amount if impermeable with the whole
Right.
second floor.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Janine, what you think?
Josh, Janine?
Sorry, what was
Preston?
that? I can't hear very well. What was that?
Sorry, we're questioning so the current bylaw, what we have in the current bylaw states that all persons required to obtain a building permit, which I think we should remove the building permit, and all persons constructing, new construction and or addition existing building footprint shall be subject to the requirements of this bylaw. They were questioning, if it increases the impervious, which it does not, because some people are putting a second floor on a one level ranch type thing. So they put another floor on, but it's immediately above the footprint that was there previously, so it's not adding any impervious. And we're questioning if we're actually getting any more benefit by changing that. Am I correct in what I'm saying? Just making sure I'm summing up. It also has another paragraph stating all persons also required to obtain planning board site plan approval pursuant to the zoning bylaw, planning board approval for a subdivision and or a board of appeals decision for new construction and or additions greater than 25% are subject to the requirements of this bylaw. I would venture to say we could probably clean that language up a bit, but for now, do those statements still hold true, and is that what we want to stick with? In the. Go ahead.
So I think this actually needs to be changed a bit. So I think we discussed like tennis courts or basketball hoops or land disturbance in general. So, and that has nothing to do with the building footprint. So,
Yeah.
Based on everything we've discussed so far, maybe we can have it as some percentage of the lot area, land disturbance within the lot area. So we would still, exempt if you're building a second floor, you wouldn't need to do that. Or if you're doing a small addition, you may not. But if you're regrading or if you're building a tennis court, you may have to. So I feel like it does need to be expanded in certain ways.
Yeah, and I think you're right, because as you get into the more of the details and the criteria or what's the word I'm trying to use,
The threshold?
the thresholds.
Yeah.
There's more to be said. So this is kind of an introductory, but
Yep.
it's gonna be followed by more that's gonna get at the other things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
The grading changes and all of that, so I think there's still room to add the other features that are important.
So in Natick, it has, permit issuance is required prior to any activities disturbing 3,000 or more square feet of land or as otherwise specified in this bylaw, which I like, because then if we change the bylaw, we don't have to change every instance where it shows up. It says, or it has specified in the bylaw. But, the site owner, or it should say his or her agent, shall apply for the permit with, in our case would be the DPW. While an application may be submitted by a representative, the permittee must be the owner of the site. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true for us, but, something to that effect, would be encompassing more than just 25% of extra building, because what if you do an enormous, I don't know, fence or enormous, I don't know, jump park or something in your backyard, I don't know what you would do, but, and no person, the model bylaw has no person may undertake a construction activity, I like that, or land disturbance, including clearing, grading, excavation, or redevelopment that will disturb equal to or greater than thresholds outlined in the Needham bylaw, essentially, or Needham regulations. So it's referring to our regulations, which we would have to be coming up with. Without an administrative land disturbance review, again, this is not the right wording for what we would do, or a permit approved by a majority of the Stormwater Authority members as otherwise provided in this bylaw. Any person that fails to follow the requirements of a land disturbance permit and related erosion and sedimentation control plan and operations and maintenance plan, or any land disturbance permit issued under stormwater management regulations shall be in violation of Needham stormwater bylaw.
Okay.
So
I
I
think
kind
the
of like the
model-
overall sound of the model.
Josh?
Yeah, I think that the model is closer to what I envisioned, but I do think the thresholds have to be in the bylaw, not in the regulations.
Agree, yeah, I think so too.
So we can always
But
change
we-
that.
Yeah, but like, something that's, you know, under 3,000 square feet, it could just simply be an admin review. And then the regulations can take over from that, like you gotta show that you're not,
Right, at some point, we're gonna have to go back and look at this and determine if we're gonna do anything of 3,000 square feet or more of disturbance or whatever it is. Requires either a building permit if it's an actual structure that you're putting on there, but if it's not a building, do we have another permit? But that's something I think we should go back and discuss, because we would have to come up with another permit and have a whole workflow and everything. But for now, are we all in agreement that at least the language itself in that model bylaw is around about what we want to see and how we want to state it?
Well, I wouldn't,
Yeah,
I mean, would you want to keep the paragraph that we already have about the 25%, which, and then have in addition, and then you would have the
Yeah, with the
model
addition,
bylaw
yeah.
language.
25%, you just call it a simple addition, not footprint.
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask, if you could eliminate the word footprint.
right, all right, I understand, that's fraught, right?
So, the general, for new construction and or additions greater than 25% of the existing building shall be subject to the requirements of the bylaw. Forget the footprint. Because if you go up,
Yeah,
you're
just what
following the
everybody seems to
footprint,
be
but you're
doing.
increasing greater than
Right,
25%.
yeah, so we are seeing additions going up with no stormwater treatment, no stormwater mitigation at all.
Mhm.
So, and they have all the equipment there, just the dry well.
Yeah, but they're gonna say, come back at you and say, yeah, but this is why we're doing this project this way, so we're not adding to the footprint, there's no.
To circumvent the regulation, to circumvent the
Well,
law, yeah, I mean,
It's not because it's.
well, they're not doing it legally, they're doing it to
Right.
avoid it.
Yeah, but then you
But
went
they
the
don't
other
really have
side.
any choice, do
Right,
they?
right.
I mean, if they've got that
That's really the stuff.
site,
Yeah,
the size that it is, and they wanna get more density out of it.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
think, they think they're doing the right thing by building up. But I
Well,
follow
all right,
the
but-
practicality of,
yeah,
they're out there.
yeah, look at, as a practical standpoint, they're already out there, yeah.
right, or a scenario where they're doing a project, to put a second floor on. they're told, well, now that trips the, the stormwater, you have to put some stuff, you have to capture technology
Yeah,
in
they're
that.
doing new roof leaders. like-
Right, and they have to also, and then they'll be like, why, I mean, does that change your project? Do they then say, fine, we'll just build an addition off the back? Since we're. Since it's fine, so now there's more impermeable surface,
Right,
but we'll capture it. Ah, I wish. trips.
maybe that's an. Maybe it's more of like an admin type of review where, hey, you're doing a new roof leader, you're not. Maybe not calculate the whole impervious area for the site, but just take care of the roof.
Yeah,
Because you're doing a new leader anyways. At a dry well with an overflow.
okay,
But as soon as you take the word footprint out,
It could,
you're
opens up.
basically saying
Mhm.
25% of the building,
yeah,
which if you're adding that second floor, you're probably into the
It-
25%.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing is when you read the bylaw, if you do like a 25% addition footprint. You have to calculate the whole impervious area and then just run the drainage off just the addition. Yes, that's how it reads. So they don't have to. They don't have to add drainage on any other corners of the house,
Just
just
the-
the addition.
Just what you added,
Yeah.
because the other part of the house existed prior to our
And that's-
bylaw specifically.
right, so, and that was. Right. All right. What's the term for that? No, pre-existing, but,
Pre-existing condition,
or,
grandfathered in.
Legacy. Legacy,
non-compliant, and it can be deemed non-compliant. To a point, because is grandfathered in. You can stay non-compliant because. Okay, so let's fix that.
Okay, so here's what what I've done. I have taken the, add this paper so that you can see it. So I have taken the, can you minimize your, move yours on for a minute? Tom? So I have taken the language that we currently have in the bylaw, having to do with the 25%. I removed the word footprint and just said existing building at minimum. And I also kept the planning board site approval and stuff, which I think can be worded way better. But then I also put in the paragraph from the model bylaw, the paragraphs from the model bylaw. And I think we should leave that as is right now, as it says, it does not read correctly, it doesn't, but when we go through
Yeah.
after it, at least we know that's the language we want in there. And move to the next question, how do we feel about that? Okay,
Which is one thing I'm remembering, but when this was at town meeting last time, there were questions about the 25%. Like why? Was it arbitrary? How was that selected? And
Right.
I imagine we'll get the similar questions again.
Yeah, I would like to take 25% out of it, because I feel like the percentage doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I guess they thought 25% means you're not doing an entire house of a thing, but they wanted something large enough to count, or to at least quantify to somebody that, you're putting enough area on your house that might affect something. How they came up with the 25% originally, I really have no idea. Tom, you may have a clue. I have no idea.
I think it was a back and forth between the members.
Yeah.
and-
I think,
And
if I'm
that's-
not mistaken, it might have been a Tony and Janet
Or Roy,
conversation, or
yeah.
Roy conversation, yeah. I wasn't here for any of those conversations, so I don't know for sure. But that's why I like the general terms
Yeah.
better and not put in numbers to it, as much as the thresholds matter as far as the minimum amount of disturbed land. I think that is what we should be going for, not necessarily for
It's
increase in,
a pain in the neck, like trying to do all the calculations and then, and then say, okay, 25% is this amount.
Mhm.
Well, are you including whatever?
Well, if we
Yeah.
take out the footprint, it's gonna be even more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
so, but if you, right.
so
You just do square footage, then,
Yeah,
right,
this, in other words, offers to provide to obtain a building permit for any new construction we're talking about, and then we go into more
all new
thresholds.
and new construction additions that are equivalent to more than 3,000 square feet of disturbed land, whatever that may be. And then any
Or like 500 square feet of.
living space or
living
something,
space or
yeah,
something, yeah.
something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
So if you're gonna add a closet, a back closet or a vestibule to take your boots off in the winter, probably not, but if you're,
it might be a good ask, like Trip and Joe, like, you don't wanna trigger everything coming in, right?
Right.
So you wanna like, all right.
at the same time, they don't, I don't know how big a shed has to be in the town of Needham for them to have to do it, like in my town.
100, yeah, 100 square.
Yeah.
I need 'em, yeah.
That's more strict than mine is. Mine's 250 square feet. Oh. At the moment.
It
So
is-
is the one
We
that's
still live
not the
farmland
most
out
up to
there,
date
yeah.
one?
We're still in the boonies.
Is mine not the most up to date one, because yours
Did you print from,
is different than mine?
No, mine is not. I just deleted that.
What version are you working on?
'Cause I already
Not
have
working
this.
on copy, right?
I'm working off a copy right now.
Copy.
Because I took this out because we took this language here, so I'm taking out the grid. Now
Oh.
here,
Okay,
so I don't
this,
get confused. This is where how I track
Oh.
what
you-
area we get
you
to.
printed from the website, right?
yes, yes.
Yes, so you're fine.
Okay.
You're
You did
good,
it.
you're good.
Check off that question. We're done. We're moving
I
on.
was trying to be.
We'll go
extra
back and
prepared
massage
for
the
meeting.
word, we can go back and massage the words, the language and how it states and how it reads. But I
Okay.
think we just I wanna get to the, consensus that we have all the pieces in here and then we can work on how it reads all together.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
All right, so applications, in Natick and in the bylaw and the Weston, this is where they have the thresholds for Weston anyways. Natick, it says it requires comments from the Conservation Commission and stuff. Hi, did you
Yeah,
forget
of
about
course.
us, Mr. Prondak?
I did
He
not.
was at another
Oh,
Yeah,
meeting.
planning board.
we're so glad that
Figured
you're,
you were gonna be halfway home and then realize.
we're so glad that you're here.
Very possible.
We thought maybe you were out, measuring light.
He ran home to get his green shirt.
Yeah.
Right, no, this should have been yesterday, I
Yeah.
had the blue line.
Did we
Oh, did you?
modify what we just did?
Actually,
with Joe?
historically, blue was the color of St. Patrick.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Should
Do
we
you have
run it?
anything to back that up?
Fourth grade. Social studies class. where we had a
Enough for me.
thinking discussion about it for some odd reason. I don't remember why, but I just remember the conversation, like
Okay,
back in like when St. Patrick, before he was St. Patrick.
all right.
Did you happen to see how Justin did, or?
No, I was first.
Okay.
When he was preaching to the masses, blue was the color. But anyways,
Should we run by Joe
Yeah.
what we just did with permits?
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So we're sort of cobbled together some language we will cut is rough, but we think consensus roughly. You want to see, right?
Right, so here's the thing, so this is the language that we have right now. So currently in the bylaw, I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so we can all see the whole thing. Currently in the bylaw. Can you guys still read that?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're cutting off greater than 25%.
Yeah, I will have to arrow over, but, so currently in our current bylaw, the first two paragraphs exist. All persons required to obtain a building permit, which my suggestion is to remove building permit, just required to obtain a permit,
Mhm.
regardless of what kind it is, for new construction and or additions greater than 25% of the existing building. Right now, it says existing building footprint. We wanted to take the word footprint out. Shall be subject to the requirements of this bylaw. As well as all persons required to obtain planning board site, basically a planning new subdivision or anything else, are also applicable to this bylaw. In the model bylaw, it had no person may undertake a construction activity or land disturbance, including clearing, grading, excavation, or redevelopment that will disturb equal to or greater than. And this has thresholds outlined in the regulations where we can say, here we would change it to greater than, say, 3,000 square feet, whatever, say a random number, whatever number you guys come up with, without an administrative land disturbance review, which, again, the review can be something, whatever we deem it is.
Yeah.
or permit approved by us or as otherwise provided in this bylaw. Any person who fails, any person that fails to follow the requirements of this permit and the related erosion control plan and an operations and maintenance plan or a permit, shall be in violation of the bylaw. So basically, if you don't follow what we say you have to do, you're in violation.
Okay.
What are your thoughts to those kinds of changes? I vote, and again, I'm a silent partner, so I'm not actually saying anything, it's just a voice in your head. 25, I want to get rid of the 25% threshold and just have a square footage of how much disturbed land are we looking if they're disturbing something. Because we don't necessarily want you to get every permit if they're adding on a mudroom on the back of their back steps that's like 50 square feet.
Right.
But if they add a second floor,
But if they add a second floor,
they're disturbed, what would they disturb?
well, they wouldn't necessarily disturb the
Disturb
land
anything, really.
because they're on top of what's already existing
Right,
unless they put an addition.
are we catching that?
Well, that's something we can add.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Or if the overall square footage of the property increases by more than,
Yeah, what's the rationale for
500 square
25%? Who picked that number? What's just,
we don't know.
sounds good, but.
I think it was less than 50, so
Haha.
it wasn't like less than
Likely
50 and more than
story.
nothing.
Yeah,
And a way to 0.25 is pleasing. As opposed to an odd
Yeah.
0.33, 3333333.
thank you.
That would be my best guess, my educated guess.
Okay.
Well, I don't know either about the 25%, just. I think it was all. We disagreed on it.
I think it was just a negotiation.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
All
Like,
right,
when you guys look at building permits, Joe, are you like calculating out the jigsaw puzzle of some of these houses are just like, you know, and say,
So-
oh, that's 25% or,
In the building permit, in the residential building permit, I think it's in the commercial one too, but at least in the residential one, I know there is a formula. That if the existing square footage, the existing square footage on there. Divided by whatever your proposed square footage is, comes out to be 25%, because I had to put that. Equation in there.
Yeah.
It pops up with stormwater requirement pages.
Right.
To answer. So whether or not they actually physically figure out how much of it is, and whether or not that number is accurate, because it's based on what they're providing us for information.
when we first started it, that wasn't in there, well,
Well, because it was a manual.
Yeah.
For-
So in other words, we're bagging the percentages and going for the square footage.
well. That's the opinion, yeah.
Right, but typically once that trigger is there, it's a surveyor that does the calculation on their plan.
Yes.
And they submit the plan that includes the Caltex and the calculation on the roof area and all of that.
Mhm. So we can keep the percentage if you're happy with the percentage, whether 25% is correct or incorrect or good or not good.
I
have
think
no
it's more
idea.
exact with the square footage.
I just think the square footage captures more items, because like Joe said, there are things that you can do on your property that don't require a building permit. So if you don't require a building permit to put on a pickleball court, I'm sure a pickleball court is probably more, or at least equivalent to square footage of some small homes. So I'm sure
As
that,
can be patios.
yeah,
pools, Pool
exactly.
aprons, although the pool itself requires a permit. You don't necessarily look at the size of the apron.
Yeah.
Um,
So if you put a land, so we could do, if the building, if a building construction is 25%. Or 3,000 square feet of disturbed land, whichever is more stringent.
Right.
However, how we program that into our permit is the question today.
Well, might not necessarily have to, we can revert to manual on that.
If you say so. Okay,
I mean, the whole building code is manual, it's not, a lot of that is.
I know, I'm just not real confident in manual stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's a matter of, you know, there's always a learning curve when a new bylaw comes out, and we'll miss some stuff along the way, but once we establish a procedure, the procedure will eventually take hold.
Okay.
I think last time, I think we were just, here you go, and just walk away, and then like. We had to read it like 10 times over, and like, what did they say, you know, and read
Yeah,
it
it's-
again and again and again.
the-
I
the-
actually 10 times is like,
The layout, the
Way less
format
than-
of the existing law is clunky. Even John, you said it early on that you tried to read it
Yeah.
and follow it,
Yeah.
you know. I think we need to overall just improve
Right, so
that, but
I guess we're just asking, is the spirit of what we're trying to get across that we need to make it more stringent, but also. I like the language in the first sentence of that model bylaw part. That states, no person may, or and I would change it to no entity or something, but no person may undertake a construction activity or land disturbance, including clearing, grading, excavation. Or redevelopment that will disturb equal to or greater than. Whatever.
right, my thought on that is that it also should include some language, some example type language, so. You know,
Examples and stuff like that would be in the regulations, so refer to regulations for examples of.
right, patios,
Right.
accessory buildings, sheds. You
Exactly.
know, sheds up to 200 square feet don't need a building permit on residential property.
Hmm.
They're exempt, whether or not that would trigger anything or, but it could be in total of what they're doing. They could be putting in a patio and a shed
Right,
and the whole thing could. So, somewhere there should be, because it's just, to me, if I was a developer, I would say, well, I'm regrading the lot. I'm doing a land disturbance. Clearing, grading, that will disturb. But if I'm putting it in a pickleball court, and I'm just paving over. I could see them saying, I'm not disturbing land, and not even coming to us.
Okay.
You know, so somewhere there should be, including but not limited to, sports courts,
Yeah, yeah,
swimming pools,
yeah, yeah.
patios. Somewhere,
Yeah.
wherever that ends up
Yeah.
is the best place. Some examples of what we mean,
Mhm.
regrading of lot. Changing of grades.
Yep.
Um,
Josh, do you have feelings on if that part should be in the bylaw or if that could be in regulations? I know you're all
Sorry.
about the threshold, but
Which threshold specifically?
the one, the inclusion, so Joe is saying to include, make sure that we include, for example, a pickleball or a patio, a thing, or whatever, et cetera, you know. For example, but not limited to,
Yeah, just
can
something,
that be in the regulations, or do you think that needs to be in this language in the bylaw as well?
yeah,
I mean, I think
something
if
that,
Sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking if it's in terms of land disturbance area, then that would automatically cover pickleball or basketball court, right?
Amongst us, yes, absolutely,
Yes.
but amongst the developers out there and people who are always looking for the loophole, clarity is best.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I
Yeah.
think it belongs in the regulations, because that's the clarifying document.
But yeah,
But they might not, they might consider themselves exempt reading the bylaw, if it's something like that, it's not.
Yeah, but at least Tom and his crew or me and my crew, we'd have something to point to that's written wherever it is.
yeah,
Right.
And that's,
And if
Right.
they did not reference the regulations, that's on them, not us.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
So
long as
is this
it's-
saying like clearing, like cutting down all the trees somehow triggers the stormwater?
good point.
tree removal.
I mean,
But how does that trigger stormwater?
Yeah,
right,
what we need them to
in the
do.
in the model,
Right,
The tree roots are not.
yeah, they're not
Yeah.
soaking up the rain, or they're not doing whatever, so if you're clearing out your backyard, because you now want a nice big football
I
area.
think you're
your
looking
kids
for
can
a
play.
threshold though for triggering, tree clearing, right, that's what you're saying.
That might be with the tree bylaw committee. Well, there isn't a tree bylaw committee, but there's a tree committee
yes.
that may be looking at that, so.
And again, when we go back and massage the language, we could
Right,
I'd love to do something.
determine if clearing
Put in
is,
a
could be on there,
clearing
but
trees,
just
yeah.
grading and excavation, maybe, I don't know.
So what would they be required to do if they,
Clear the trees.
yes,
So,
At
As
minimum,
far
putting
as-
erosion.
Well, I think it's Roche, yeah.
so this is
yeah, that should be
is
there.
both. So it's
Will they
stormwater
then have to put it
management and
under our
erosion
tank and capture the
control
roof
under the
runoff?
same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, I mean, it's all
And
land
so they-
disturbance.
Right, they changed the runoff number
Mhm.
because they're,
yeah,
then
They
they should
just-
do something, well, that should be figured out though, like clearing like the density of the trees. Is probably the important part, like removing 1 or 2 is,
Removing
By
one
re-
that's gonna
by
fall on your
removing,
house, probably not a
yeah.
problem, but if you're gonna remove, 40 to make room for your kids,
yeah, and
buddies
it can't
to
be
come play
a,
football.
Mhm.
can't be trees at risk because they can slowly kill the trees and, oh my God, it's gonna fall, you have to cut it down.
Right,
So it has to be a,
right, and we can have things in there, language in there that says like, could include like clearing of trees.
or could impact the,
Could
the-
impact the
could
water
impact the
flow.
water flow absorption or whatever
Yeah,
of this parcel, which would include trees.
It's all land disturbance, really.
it is.
Yeah.
But like I had
but
trees
if they're
cleared on my
clearing
yard.
trees, so what do they have to do, like impervious area?
Right,
You-
that's
you're-
gonna trigger, you're gonna need to put in
So much
infiltration.
volume, right,
So if they're just doing trees, I'm like, what is that triggering? So I didn't realize that through this same permit, it's the erosion and sediment control
Yeah.
piece.
yeah,
But besides that, I
yeah.
don't. I-
Like if you are clearing a wooded area, you are changing the runoff number.
Right. If
Which
you
is gonna
change-
require what?
Some sort of storage or infiltration.
Yeah, some capture
Yeah,
technology.
capture, yeah.
I mean,
Or-
basically,
Or
if you-
replanting.
Right, if you cut down every tree in your lot, now your neighbor is gonna get flooded. And they say you cut all these trees down,
It's gonna be with a certain threshold.
perhaps, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Alright, sorry to go off on a tangent.
No,
Okay.
that's
No,
right,
but that's a good question.
that's right. Okay. Well,
Do you want me to make a note on here?
Yeah, that's.
Thank you.
Looking back to this.
I could see them coming back, I'm only cutting down 3 or 4 trees and
Because I
But
mean, I did have to
it
do
could
a
be a
bunch
whole-
in my yard, but they were all, well, they were within the woods area, so I didn't really change much of anything, but I did push stuff back a little because it was encroaching on my house and pool and whatever else, like it was way further in than I had.
I'm just wondering how you quantify, tree removal as far as what's happening to the land and the stormwater.
We want all the trees gone, we're gonna put in fake ones. It's like a
God,
fake
I'm
Christmas
tired of
tree.
having to care about them.
To
Under a certain
breathe, stop
threshold.
to breathe.
If we're under a certain threshold, if it's too less of a threshold, they could get away with clearing for
Mhm.
trees, right? Is it-
Yeah,
So does it all depend on the threshold here, or does it,
I don't know, we can massage this later, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we.
all right,
I-
look
I
at the
would-
regulations and we can.
Aren't we good if we do the land disturbance of X number of square feet?
Yeah.
Keep the 25% on the additions and all of that. But then add land disturbance of an X number of square footage.
Okay,
So within that square footage, if you're taking out all the
Right.
one or 10 trees.
and trees. can be
Whatever is
example.
less, 25% or whatever is,
I mean, it
So,
depends on the
two separate
existing
things,
conditions,
25% on
whether the
additions.
square
Right.
footage makes sense. as far as tree
1500
removal.
of
What if
square
the
footage on
forested?
land disturbance.
or square footage instead
Or
of
what if it's not,
percentages
and it
on it?
so
on the
how I would
construction?
do it is I
Keep
would
it- we
do
keep
the
square
kind of
footage
calculate.
and,
Joe,
Can we have one
and,
conversation?
Apparently not.
delete the percentage?
I would say it would be better off to keep the percentage for building permits.
Okay.
But instead of having it be just 25% greater on the footprint, I would say if you add 25% to the square footage. Because the footprint doesn't change if you add a second floor, but however, it would be an opportunity to grab those that didn't have infiltration or dry wells put in because their square footage didn't
Right.
require, and they're not adding out, they're just adding up.
Mhm.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, it's not, you know, if you're putting like a whole second story in your house, it's not that big a deal to put a couple of tanks in and run the downspout.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, if you're doing that much construction and adding.
Yeah,
that
Tom
much
said
stuff,
they're gonna have the
yeah.
equipment there anyways,
Right.
it's not gonna.
Okay. That's what it was.
You
All right.
guys must have rehearsed that.
If
Yeah,
someone,
yeah. That's what I was saying earlier before you came in.
Yeah,
I
if
think
some-
we've got a concept. Kim
Next
can
one.
draft it up, we probably
Okay.
need to give it another read.
Yes,
once you do that.
yes, yes.
So the question that I was being asked was like, how would you figure out what needs to be done for mitigation? And how what I would do it is I would run the calculations. The pre and the post, with the tree cover and without the tree cover, and then. But not everyone can do that. Not everyone's gonna hire an engineer to, because someone who's cutting trees, they're just cutting trees now. So they need something more simple,
Mhm.
like what's the threshold and what's the requirement.
Yeah, so if we did the 3,000
So
square feet.
they don't have
if
to
you're
hire.
Clearing
some
trees out of more than
tree cut.
3,000 square feet,
You know,
I guess. that
right,
would
okay.
just
You
be
can
it.
put a lot
Yeah, I
of
think that's
trees in
the best you
3,000
could
square
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, would you
In a
say?
I'm already-
forested area with 3,000 square feet, that's a lot of trees.
It is.
refresh, what's three
So
thousand?
maybe a lesser threshold.
So you can have another threshold just for like admin reviews and stuff.
Yeah, they're
And
not gonna
keep-
apply for something. They don't need a building permit, so they'd have to apply for it. How are we even gonna know they're doing it?
If they're in my jurisdiction,
Then we can
Right,
protect it in.
That's right.
In our
Right.
jurisdiction,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think a point that we could do. We could do a manual approval outside of VPC. It doesn't all have to be in VPC. Design Review Board for
Blasphemy.
Design Review Board does signs and other types of design
Mm.
with no.
Our permitting software.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ultimately, yes, we'd like it all to be there, but 50 feet by 60. At least we'd have some time to work with it without overwhelming VPC, and then we could figure out. Because with that part, we're taking on a totally new thing, you know, which was
Yes.
never permitted before. So yeah, let's do it, let's do that part manual
No.
for a little bit.
No,
And
no, manual is not an option.
Because then we can design a better VPC form down the road, because we might have to come back and say this.
That's
doesn't
huge,
work,
yeah.
this works.
I'd rather change the form
Oh,
of VPC than to
Yeah.
not, to
And
do it
there's none
manually.
of that until we get
No,
all
because
my
as soon as you
changes
do,
made.
as
So
soon
yeah.
as you do it manual here, Joe.
we've
it'll
had
stay.
neighbors approach
They
us
do,
with
changing it to
tree
the
clearing.
electronic anything is such a hurdle.
But that's one thing off your plate if we never change
When you
it.
look at it,
Keep it
it's like-
manual forever.
You think so,
Change
right?
the
No,
pattern.
that's not how it works.
There's like a vernal pool.
If it would, I'd be all for it, but that is
Vernal
not
pool-
actually.
I
potential
think
vernal
changes.
pool areas, not certified.
Most people do, and to be honest with you, my goal is to have everybody on.
Are you
VPC.
on the tree
Every
committee
department.
too?
The fact that we don't have like
Josh is.
conservation and everybody else on
Oh.
it is.
Yeah, I'm
irks
just
me.
wondering.
sure.
You know,
It
talking about the
Yeah.
To me,
trees.
it's jump in or jump out.
Um,
Take your pick.
Cause I went to
Take
the
your time.
initial meeting.
I think Josh wants to say something. about
Josh?
Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we've had one meeting, so there's not much to share, but yes, I'm on the tree committee.
Okay, yeah, I went to the initial ones before they made the new committee, and they wanted us to somehow keep track of the tree removal on all the properties.
That's
Somehow.
funny, because I have a hard time finding out how many trees that the
Yeah.
town owns,
Yeah, that was
Never
something
mind.
that we were
Yeah,
supposed to
private
be.
trees.
private trees. Yeah.
supposed
All right, do you guys
be-
wanna jump on
Speaking of
where
which
we
one,
are?
remind me to ask you about, books and strings, books and comments after.
Alrighty,
Completely separate from this.
okay.
All right,
Okay, so the next section, so we're gonna leave that section and come back.
Okay.
Next section is about applications. Our bylaw has. I mean. Except as listed, I mean, I guess section 7.4.2 is the closest thing to it. Except as listed below, all applications for new construction or redevelopment subject to the provisions of this bylaw, whether or not the issuance of a building permit is required, shall include stormwater management and erosion control provisions. I'm good with that. Again, I'm not here, so
Mhm.
it's just a
Right,
here in your conscience. The relevant permitting authority, building department, planning, zoning, of appeals or conservation shall review and approve the stormwater management and erosion control plan prior to the issuance of a permit. Director of Public Works shall participate in the review process and make recommendations to the permitting authority as needed. Again, that's sort of right, but not quite. Applications involving facade treatments, interior renovations, and or changes in use are exempt from the stormwater management or the requirement for a stormwater management and erosion control plan. The following applications do not require a stormwater management and erosion control plan when proposed in an area not subject to jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. And this has applications for addition to a commercial structure, parking lot, or roadway that is less than 1,500 square feet. Why that is the only bullet point, I haven't the foggiest clue.
yeah, okay.
Can I ask a basic question
Sure.
to understand how it works now? Is the application, is that a separate initial step and document? And do all the other stuff follow the reports and plans? Or when they say application, is that all encompassing?
It is all
That includes
encompassing.
everything.
It's all encompassing. So if their planned building permit, based on a building permit, if their planned project is equivalent, it works in that math problem that's in there, is equivalent based on that equation to 25% or more, there is a requirement at the end of the document before they can submit the application. There are required documents that they have to upload, and one of those things is a stormwater plan or a plot plan.
So it's
Erosion
not as
control
if
plan,
you're
yeah.
getting sign off on your application and then you go ahead and
Well, no,
prepare the details.
No.
so it's, first of all, it's not a separate application for stormwater. It's an application for a building permit to build a house, for example.
Yeah,
So if within that application, as they're filling it out, if they check that 25%, if they hit that 25% threshold, then that automatically triggers reviews before we issue the permit. So we look at it we do the review first, we do the building code, the zoning stuff, and make sure that the stormwater thing is there, that the surveyor has shown the Caltex on the property of, well, drainage structures, and that there's a calculations page on it. And then, once we do our review, check off, yes, building stuff, zoning stuff. And information there is on stormwater, it clicks off to Tom's crew, and then they, whatever they do with that,
Then Paul reviews the plan.
Paul reviews the plan.
so this is the
Yeah.
flow chart that you were talking about.
That is the
What
workflow at the
that-
end.
He doesn't approve anything.
That's
he
the
just
workflow. at
the one that we
end,
Reviews it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
because usually if it's done by the surveyor or the engineer,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
It's part of the building permit, right?
Yeah, it's
You
just, I
make
mean,
sure
it's
that-
simple math, so it's not really,
And he'll call them up, it's like, you don't meet the 1 inch, or, if it's over 4,000 square feet, he's been calling them up and say, you need to add. This requirement in the bylaw that says that. If it's over 4,000 square feet, they must show that they're not, flooding their neighbor, something to that effect. And,
So in Needham, we're still only talking about a building permit.
At the moment,
So
but
far.
that's part of what we had discussed on the previous
Right.
section of we might need to have a separate permit.
Like a land disturbance.
Like a
permit.
land disturbance permit, and what that would look like and what that workflow would look like, I don't know.
Right.
But it would be in VPC.
So I'll put in.
I do love you, Joe, just don't take it personally.
So there's one approval at the end when
Right.
everything is complete. And all the documents, the O and M.
yeah.
All the. plan-
On basic residential homes, there's no O&M required.
Okay, but now with what we're talking about here, that we've got many more. I'm wondering, how's it happen now? Because you got a stormwater.
It doesn't, and that's part of the problem. We don't have any we can't, there's no mechanism for us to require a private property to report to us the O and M on what they've installed on.
Okay, but
Just
not
the-
just, not just
Operation and maintenance.
maintenance, but not just that, all of the the design criteria and all the calculations, all the reporting that, design documents that, have to be submitted that go along with the plan. Does that all have to be submitted
It's all
It's
one
all-
page,
it's
it's
all
all
the
on one page.
on one page?
You know, you have, we have, there's one plot plan.
Okay,
It
I
gives
guess
us
I'm making it too
grading
complicated.
contours, setbacks, existing footprint, proposed footprint, all, and it's a nightmare to read it, but that's how they do it.
I think recently we've been seeing a separate stormwater sheet.
Yeah, I've been trying to push
In
them
order,
that
yeah.
way, because I've been telling the surveyors when I talk to them, I said, your plans are unreadable. There's too much information on here.
Yeah, yeah, I know, same with.
Okay,
All
that makes me
O&M
feel
plan
better.
reports come to conservation commission, right? Or are the folks that order?
No, I think ours are, if they're requested, they need to be available.
In order of conditions, if it.
Right, if we request.
Otherwise, it can be unreportable. To go in.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay.
Okay, so. Any of the language that currently exists in Needham, are we good with, like, want, keep, Chuck? Start over.
The one bullet point application, it's. That almost feels like. Could that be in regulations?
I feel like the last paragraph and that bullet point are pointless, like, I don't wanna point out what's not required, I wanna point out what is required.
This
Yeah.
is the one where I think Tony and Roy had a sticky point on.
Yeah, and there might have been some specific structure or specific entity that was concerned about that, and maybe that's why it made it in here, but the ones that don't require stormwater management and erosion control plan, I feel like should be, assume you do until we tell you you don't.
But we still need something to go by, to say you're exempt,
Um,
so that we're not making,
Yeah.
because then it just it's getting arbitrary, we don't want to be that, we wanna be uniform.
it also goes, the bullet point also applies in the face of the permeable surface of GIS and the whole stormwater fee. I mean, like, get
I
rid of
mean,
this.
1,500 square feet in a parking lot, I don't think it's that large. I mean, how big is a
Depends on the size
parking
of the
space?
parking lot.
How much is a parking space?
Right,
How big?
20.
9 by 20, yeah.
So that is 180 square feet,
Mhm.
so we're talking.
10.
10
Nine.
parking lots and parking
Nine
spaces,
Nine spaces.
alright, so that's pretty significant. I'd say 1,500 is too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like even a
10 by
driveway,
150,
right?
yeah.
And only
We
for
count that?
commercial,
That's, yeah.
which seems odd to me.
Or roadway, yeah. No,
Kevin's
I don't
voting
know-
to get rid of the bullet
I don't
point.
know why they came up with, I don't know why they came up with that.
Josh, Janine, Preston, thoughts on the bullet point?
We can't justify it. Let's get rid of it.
Anybody else?
Because the town should be, we're building a road, we should be doing drainage. I mean,
yeah,
don't exempt it.
yes, absolutely. It's like, and we're telling people, we're
do the
measuring
thing.
your swimming pool. And that you gotta pay for that. And it's like, oh, but you can do it in parking lot.
Yeah.
No,
And this is actually for stormwater management and erosion control too, so it's like.
I know.
Throw a few waddles in there, what?
Yeah. Okay. John, your thoughts?
Get rid of it.
Joe.
Okay.
Joe,
John.
Joe,
Sue?
Josh.
I've got.
Everybody has a J, I know,
All right.
too many
I'm
J
okay.
names.
All right, we have consensus?
Yeah.
So
Alright,
we're lifting the rest of it.
Well, my question is the.
Inserting it into,
Yeah, but the following applications part, would it, satisfy Joe's question about what is exempt, meaning adding their applications. The paragraph before that says applications involving facade treatment, interior renovations and or changes in use.
Yeah, that clearly
And-
should stay.
Yeah, and adding and or less than 200 square feet of land disturbance. do not require.
But if we're setting a threshold for when land disturbance is required, then by default, we're saying if you're below that.
Should have
I
a
think so.
definition.
Yeah, so we don't have to have land disturbance in here.
Just making sure. Okay, so we're good all the way up to the last paragraph.
Well, I think as far as the second paragraph, we have building department, planning, zoning, appeals, conservation. Should we add DPW, just so that if we put the street permit procedures together to include.
Yeah,
like
we can, we're gonna
pickleball,
work
that
on
sort of thing. Yeah,
the
but that's-
specifics.
but that's not in the bylaw, so
Okay,
so we add the DPW in there. Is there another division that has reviews construction that we're missing? Other than DPW, I think that's it.
Health department at all? For
Yeah,
any reason?
Oh, like the dumpster?
Oh,
Yeah, those typically go on existing parking lots, existing paved areas.
For a septic system or something.
I think it should just say the relevant permitting authority. I don't think we need to
Maybe.
list all
Alright.
all the
Maybe
departments.
that's a way.
fine, just keep it simple.
Yeah, because you could have, the health department could
I think
do
you
it
should
as
just
septic
get rid of
system.
There are probably
Yeah.
a few other
Septic
places.
Yeah.
system,
that
that could be
wording
taken down
is-
trees.
I think you just need to get rid of it and just say the relevant permitting authority.
I love it.
That's the bill, that's whatever department you're getting a permit from.
Yes.
That's gonna save us a couple hundred words.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Thank you for saving.
thank you.
All the paper will say,
well, it's because I said health
it saves
department.
some trees in
doesn't
doing so.
charge.
That's you, thank you.
The tree ordinance people
I
will be happy
Because
with
you're
us.
amazing.
But they don't know that.
We got,
not.
we got one right here, Josh is on
really
that
is.
committee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, so I'm taking them out.
Take it up.
Dig it up. Okay, so paragraph 1, yes. Paragraph 2 with the
Yeah,
specific one taken out, we need to reword the paragraph 3 because the DPW director doesn't do anything like that. And then we're stopping short of that last
Yeah.
paragraph.
okay.
And we are putting it into our document. Here. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, was that a vote?
Yeah,
Just-
good.
Just consensus.
It's just a consensus at this point, And then anything from the model bylaw or Natick or Weston that you wanna put in, this is potentially where applications, you would have the threshold discussion. Again, we have a whole section further at the beginning where we're thinking of putting the thresholds in.
Yeah.
And we have it to go back to and discuss, so we don't necessarily need to beat a dead horse. So I would think it would be something above and beyond that. Josh, speak up if you disagree, because that was the one you had me put a note on earlier.
With the thresholds, you mean?
Yes. I don't want to state them in multiple places in the document. I would like to keep it in one or the other.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Like the beginning one should be.
Yeah, because,
Yeah, that needs to come up earlier.
Well, it's at the beginning, the
Yeah.
first, the.
so let's leave it, because
business
it,
section.
right, it gets very complicated.
Yeah,
Yes,
right now, when you're using that bylaw, you start on page 1, and then you think, okay, let me go to page 7, and then back to page 5, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how we're using it now, but it's, we gotta get that flow down. a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, we start like in Weston, they get also we're doing stuff.
See, I didn't realize that you all had that problem.
Oh, yeah,
Clear as mud.
It's just a new guy that came.
No, it's that,
And that's the flow chart will take care of that.
right. I don't think there's any language in there we need to keep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good with applications. Hey,
we're cruising, all right, 9.2.
9.2 fees.
Okay.
Is there a fee now when you submit an application?
not along with the building, because the building permit fees are.
That's accepted.
Yeah. Do we just say refer to the regulations, because fees will change?
Well, we don't have but so what you pay for, your fee is the building permit,
Right.
not a stormwater fee. There was, I mean, we have our assessment fees.
Right, but what about
But-
those ones where with no building permit is required, should there be a fee for those?
That's the question.
Right, okay. So when you get billed, what, how much, what's it say?
It depends on the cost of the project.
Okay.
So if you're building $1 million project, you spend more money. If you are putting up a, dinky little lean-to, well, maybe
Right,
50
okay.
bucks. But I'm just saying, I think the minimum is $150. Yeah.
Okay,
150.
But they're gonna have to be paying for it through the new, what do you call it, the imperviousness
the
assessment.
stormwater, the fee,
Well,
yeah.
no, so the stormwater fee does not have to do with what will allow you to build or allow you, not allow, but, what we're permitting you for. That stormwater fee is to help pay for
The review.
stormwater.
I realize that, but the
Assets.
person who's applying is gonna say, you're double charging me because once I do my project, I'm gonna be subject to.
But that's the same as building permits. You pay a building permit fee,
Yeah.
and then the assessor get a hold of it and they up your taxes.
Okay.
Right,
So,
Yeah,
Then-
we're
Yeah, yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
small money. to
Yeah.
pay.
Right.
They call
And even in
conservation and
the,
say.
even in the,
"Look,
in
this is on our
the assessment
property.
fee
Can you write
section,
a
or even
letter
in the
to the
assessment fee
assessor
Q and A
or
on the website.
check if we allow-
Clearly state
I've been
that,
getting so
or I
many
clearly
of
have it
those.
stated as one of the questions of,
Like
I
very
had to,
time
because one of the questions
consuming.
that often came up was I had to add, it added expense to my project, my bill, when I built my house. That I had to put in all the dry wells and all that stuff, so why am I getting charged if all the water is being kept on my property? Because you're not getting charged for what you specifically do on your individual property, you're getting charged based on the square footage of impervious cover you have put on your property.
And it's a sewer and water charge, quarterly sewer and water. charge.
Yeah.
It is a different.
Yeah, well, for some people it's monthly, but yeah,
Monthly, yeah.
but
But it's under the sewer and water charge.
it is, but the point is, they're separate, and we even say in there about, those stormwater regulation, anything done under the stormwater bylaw is, separate from a stormwater assessment fee. That's not considered the same thing, because the assessment fee is for us to pay for the treatment pieces that we have to put in across town, not for what's going on your property.
Right.
But I like the way the Natick paragraph described, I think what you're talking about is basically an administrative fee for the processing of the application,
Yeah,
which sounds to me like a pretty legitimate, thing.
Do we have to put fees into a bylaw? Do we have fees in any other kind of bylaw, like the general bylaw?
and the only reason why I think,
We have them in conservation.
Yeah,
yeah, the only reason why I'm thinking of having it is so that there's authority to either not charge or to charge, like for example.
why don't we just say fees may be established?
yeah.
To
So-
cover
Because if we
blanket.
may, or we may not. I'm not.
select board would have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's put in regs, but put it in here to appoint it to the regs, say, fees may be charged or assessed as required.
So if you look at the existing bylaw, it's in this section right here, 7,
Yeah,
and it says pretty much that. 7.7.3.5.
Yeah, but that has to do is if you can't put drainage in,
Yeah,
we
but it's a
charge you a
fee.
fee.
Yeah, it's a fee that the select board.
oh, okay.
determines.
As determined by the board of selectmen.
Oh, right, so fees.
So right now, the determination is 0. So if they're tying into the drainage system, it's 0.
Okay, right, so we can also, that's another aspect, we can charge.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it might be beneficial to put this in there too,
Fees for the-
including
for the-
connection.
Well,
to
so as far
drainage.
as, this is just under permits, that has to do with the
Right.
condition of the soil and whether they can put it in, not the permit itself. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
they're,
this is talking about fees for a permit.
that's talking about, if they cannot, if they're supposed to do the drainage and they cannot do it, then they're supposed to pay a fee.
right, so it is about getting a
Okay.
permit, it's a work around a permit.
And that isn't just for dry wells, right? Does it include rain gardens, things like that?
This is. Right, I think, the way it's written is like we do dry wells, it doesn't show rain gardens,
So it's not giving that alternative?
like you do a dry well, that's how you meet the requirements. So we've had a number of properties that have high groundwater.
Right.
Or poor, or other poor soils, and they tapped into the drain. And
Well, we don't allow
bylaws.
that with conservation, so then
Yeah.
we're like looking to doing a rain garden.
Right,
So do you want me to take the language under the poor soils and put that under fees?
No.
What about fees to be,
well, like any connect, I can see,
I
I mean, I would change the title from poor soils to, alternative.
Misunderstood soils.
Well, I think, Tom's like, that's one way to assess something, but we would just wanna say something, we claim the
Less
authority
yeah,
to say.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, we just want a placeholder, we claim the authority. Of course.
If we're doing it, cause we could do an overflow, it could be rain garden with an overflow to the drainage system.
Right.
Or it could be breached, or whatever.
Or, but do you, can you do that and leave it just open ended? I know you could do it,
Huh?
but
I
it
give
seems
up.
to me it would be better to say it's intended to do the kind of things that the
The native,
Natick. I mean, you don't have to say how much it is, and you can
Right.
say you might do it in order to cover,
Yeah, we may.
public
cover-
notice, application review, monitoring.
Yeah, it's like
permit
could be
planning.
review
compliance.
or for, I'm not sure to say connections, but.
Nothing on fees.
Or other,
Ah.
yeah.
Not your
Because
thing.
otherwise, people are gonna say you've just gotta, free rein to charge whatever you want.
or
Maybe they don't do that here.
to be determined, to be established, to be determined and established as for the regulations.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, put the fees in the regulations.
Yeah,
Through the
yeah.
select board,
And,
right.
and then the select board will set the fee.
Okay, that's even better.
Nice.
Well, I think that's what's
Thank
given
you.
the authority in this section. It says
Lincoln,
the conservation,
Lincoln.
but it should-
You.
Yeah.
Select board, right?
Yeah.
Cause you think about it, some of these houses being constructed, I mean, they're probably saving $30,000, to avoid. In some cases. To avoid putting in infiltration.
Mm.
Say that one more time?
They're probably saving a ton of money, like up to like 30,000 to avoid,
Putting in.
yeah, some of them, no,
Oh.
yeah,
Okay, are you connecting to the drains?
by connecting the drain, yeah.
But they have to have permission to do that, correct?
It has to have the
Yeah,
capacity, right?
Yeah, and they have to
Yeah, it
show
doesn't
that,
say it has to
With
have.
the
Yeah,
the Caltex won't work.
Allow the connection if you have a.
Yeah,
catch-
they're just
if
gonna
there's
fill
a
up
catch
with
basin
water,
in the
'cause-
front,
it
but
won't
if you
drain down
don't,
to the front.
then you contribute to it.
How often does that
Yeah.
happen, Joe?
I
Because
probably
you
know
guys
better
ever
than
say
I,
no
I've
because
seen
of
a
a
lot of
small
clay
pipe
here
that-
in Needham.
We don't
Yeah.
say no to some
You
pumps,
do, you don't.
Don't.
because we don't want it into the sewer.
Mm.
Because they gotta do something with it,
Mm.
either that, they either shoot it at their neighbors or
Mhm.
in
Yeah,
the sewer, so.
Mhm.
okay, some pumps can go into the drain.
You gotta count.
Right.
Well, please.
But we're looking at, I think this will be a good idea to look at that as well. To require. Some changes that are to. Revisit those that have tied in the past and recheck them. To say, how are we doing, how much flow is going to the drain, how do we mitigate for our capacity issues throughout town?
Yeah.
I have a question,
Yeah,
Mhm.
just kind of tangentially related. Is it possible to put a meter on connection to the town drain? So that we can know how much, water is going into the drain and potentially charge based upon volume?
Interesting.
yeah, there's a method we could do to theoretically calculate.
Must be a meter, right?
Or put a meter in. I'm not sure how the meter would work, who would be reading the meter.
The meter maid.
So,
That
I
may be
mean, so we
tough
have
to
water
do.
meter records, right, so.
Oh, that's interesting, right?
So
Yeah,
I
that's a
would,
good question.
as an engineer, I would back calculate it with
Okay.
theoretically, that's how I would do it.
Back calculate.
Use Darcy's calculate, there's a formula, sorry.
I usually go with Bob's
Why
formula.
did I ask an
I know.
engineer?
I know. All right,
Well, but I think you're right, traditionally, I
But
don't
I-
think in the industry, people are measuring stormwater
right,
that's being discharged. It would be great if you could, but it's just logistically a pretty complicated operation and stuff enough to measure wastewater.
yeah. So the way I would do it is based on the perimeter of the foundation and the elevation of the groundwater to the perimeter.
Okay,
And then you can use that and then figure out the soil cases, and then you can figure out how much water is
okay.
being pumped out.
Wow.
Okay.
That can be
But
done.
they,
I don't think you wanna do it.
they don't pay after, they've been connected at all. I mean, they have to get a permit to be connected,
Yeah, and then that's
but thereafter,
$100, yeah,
they're free and clear.
$100.
$100 to get connected.
Yeah.
And then that's it, they're free and clear after
Yeah.
that.
And then they can just keep,
Okay, that's a bargain.
Hmm.
All right, so for fees, I changed it around a little bit, but I basically kept the same gist as the model bylaw had. But I put in fees may be established by the select board to cover expenses connected with public notice, application review, and monitoring permit compliance. The fee shall be sufficient to also cover professional review if required to retain a registered professional engineer or other professional consultant to advise the permitting authority on any or all aspects of submitted plans. Applicants may also, I should say also, may also be required to pay review fees in advance of the review process, meaning they're not starting the
Yeah.
review until they pay for it.
Yeah.
The applicant for a stormwater and erosion, well, this permit name is probably not right, but the applicant for whatever that permit is, may be required to cover ongoing costs of a consultant if deemed necessary for the duration of the proposed project through an account established pursuant to MGLC 4453G and any successor statutory provision.
Yeah, that
You
might-
guys use a 53G accounts? Like when you, if you need an outside,
Who, us?
yeah.
We've never needed an
never-
outside.
never- Okay, but usually it's a negotiation process where
Hmm.
you, the conservation, we get a consultant to say they're capable of reviewing it. And then the applicant will say, well, how much they're charging? Well, they're charging 10,000. Well, that's too much. Can you look at it for another consultant? So
Mm-hmm.
goes back and forth like
Right.
that.
Okay, all right, so there's fees. Moving next. Information requests.
Just quickly on that, I would just take the applicants and get rid of completely on that last sentence.
Yeah.
where we're back up
What
to,
was it?
53G,
Yeah, the applicant for stormwater, just say the applicant may be required. Get rid of that middle.
yeah.
Because we know this is in the stormwater bylaw, so
Mhm.
the applicant's the applicant.
Streamline.
Nice.
Mhm.
Love what you're saying.
all right, next.
Okay, information request. So the only thing that was on the Sonata CAD, the Conservation Commission or a designated agent may request such additional information as is necessary to determine whether the proposed land disturbing activity will protect water resources and comply with the requirements of this bylaw. There's nothing wrong with that. But not just the Conservation Commission, but
Yeah.
everybody should be able to ask.
Yeah, why do you need that?
I don't
I mean,
know.
there's plenty of opportunity to have more information.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not gonna give you a permit, so you give us the information.
right. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know why it's
That's
there.
because Joe said.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so do you want to just delete those?
Delete information requests.
Yeah. so
Or do
now-
we want to put in there information requests will be received by and through VPC or permitting, whatever it is, because not everybody's on
Joe
VPC.
doesn't want to do.
You got it
He doesn't
covered.
want anything
Yeah,
VPC.
You got it covered.
Okay,
delete.
so.
Yeah.
9.3 is gone.
So that now the new 9.3.
So the new
I know.
9.3, determination of completeness. Again, an adequacy of the materials submitted. I mean, this is what we do when we taken a permit, so I don't really know why we need to tell them about determination of completeness.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
Gone.
Gone.
Oh, my God, now,
Yeah.
now the next one's gonna be 9.3.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Wait, we might eliminate it.
wow. We could.
Coordination with other town entities.
All right, coordination with other town entities. Again,
I
this is
think
just
it's
sort of
perfect the
something,
way it is.
but
Has this already been covered? In the bylaw?
No,
No,
It has.
no,
you don't have to coordinate.
I like Weston's.
well, it does say,
it does not exist.
All right, so
This
gone.
gives, yeah, this gives like, saying we have to work with other entities in town on specific dates. I don't like that. Because what if it's a real complicated thing, like if it's a hospital, like you're not gonna,
Right.
it's taking 3 months to get through the planning and stuff. I
For Norris Hospital, which has taken years and years and years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that, right,
Just
right.
give
I
it.
think that's because
Brutal.
Just give it up.
don't they have this, the separate authority that they created for stormwater?
I think so,
Yeah.
I think
it
so.
they needed to.
yeah,
All right.
Gone.
Oh,
Good.
Ooh,
okay.
the new 9.3 is,
Oh.
9.6 and 9.3.
9.3, so this has entry, which I don't really know if it belongs in permitting, but
That was my reaction to the Hawaiian inspections or somewhere.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, but,
I mean, the building code has a similar statement saying that, building inspectors, once a permit is applied for. Building inspector.
We have that too.
Yeah,
Enter the
right.
property, not hard, Chris Heat might say keep it in.
But it's good that, I don't think we're saying we don't need it, it's. Where it's placed, it doesn't
Yeah.
belong.
we might move it after we review the whole, like, read through the whole thing, it might not belong in this
Yeah.
Yeah.
particular section, yeah.
Yeah,
Reorganize.
yeah, entry isn't the right word.
Well, right of entry is,
Access?
right of entry is.
Right.
Oh.
Typical
Right.
language.
Okay. Okay, what does exactly mean, Joe?
Yeah, we'll call it right.
If it-
Right of entry?
Yeah, it means that I have the right to go on your property.
Oh.
for inspectional purposes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, right.
Cut this off in the fridge.
So are we getting rid of entry
right.
too?
Right.
No,
We're renaming it to right of entry,
but we may move it.
We may,
but we may move it. to
we're
the-
reserving the right to move
Right,
it.
and that.
Yeah.
So,
You took over the table to keep moving on.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Hearing.
so now we're on.
so keeping
9.4.
natics, are we okay with natics definition or natics language
For what?
for right of entry?
Oh, we're still in the.
Filing an application for a permit.
Yeah,
Conservation Commission is super powerful in
I
the.
said, come on, sorry.
Yeah, I'll say.
Filing an application
how
for a permit
effective it
grants the,
Oh, Claire,
authority has
She-
jurisdiction or.
she covers the whole town with stormwater, just.
Yeah.
Conversation, yeah.
the permitting authority, permission to
Yep.
enter the
She
site.
has DPW and.
To
building.
verify
Yeah,
the
she's got
information
backup.
in the application and to inspect for compliance
But
with
she's the
permit
contact.
conditions
Mm,
to the extent permitted by law.
Mm-hmm.
How they can comply with the permit conditions based on the application, because they haven't gotten the permit yet, I don't know, but that's okay. If you're okay with the way it's written, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Which one do you like?
Natics,
Yeah,
written a little bit different than the
I-
way
I agree.
they have it, but
Okay.
yeah. All right, so hold on. Here we go. Making headway here.
Right before our very eyes.
so that's not.
Hold your horseshoes.
No.
Okay. Okay, and this says hearing, obviously I would change the name of it if we have one, but within 30 calendar days of receipt of a complete application for major, minor, because that's what they have. They hold a public meeting, notice of a public hearing. We don't have any public hearings for regular permitting, so I would say this needs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hearing gone.
On.
We're now deaf, dumb, and blind. Action and appeal process. Again, we don't have a hearing, so do we really have an action and appeal process?
But there should be,
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, every every law can sometimes apply unfairly to a particular situation,
Mhm.
so there should be an appeal process.
Okay.
Appeal of disproved applications.
Yeah. Everybody's got
Yeah,
huge write-ups on that.
I know.
Sounds like
Yeah,
appeal.
and I would think this is where town council and Christie would be beneficial to help with the language on this.
So this is 9.5 and we're keeping it.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Yes and no, but, action and appeal process. I'm just gonna say appeal process instead of action and.
yeah, yeah.
So appeal process, I am taking out the piece that has appeal of disproved applications, that wording and language.
Mhm.
The applicant may modify the application to meet objectives, blah, blah, blah. They can appeal a permit denial by requesting a review of the application. And this says that it takes place via public hearing, but we have to fix the wording on that. Because the action's talking about when they review the permits and stuff, so I don't think.
So, the actual permit we're talking about right now is what?
Any permit, a building permit,
Land
this
disturbance.
land disturbance.
So we could
Fictional
still
thing.
have a land disturbance permit
Yep,
here.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
It's the whole application,
But
including
still,
all of these.
But-
sub-items.
but no additional stormwater permit. Probably.
I wouldn't say taking it, in terms of, I would not be taking out the stormwater piece of the building permit as it currently exists and putting it in its own permit section. I would just add the permit that, for the land disturbing activities that we're not capturing for building permits.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so there's the language there. Obviously, we need to work on it. But 9.4 is about a page and a half shorter than it was before.
Nice.
Okay? All right,
Hmm.
so the next section is change or alteration of land disturbing activity. Everybody online still with us? We're good?
I'm here.
All
Okay.
right. Did we lose Jane?
I don't know.
I'm good.
Oh, all right.
Just checking for, pulses, make sure we're all still alive.
Oh, here needs snoring.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah.
All right, change or alteration of land disturbing. What does that mean?
I think that's up to us to define.
People in native.
Oh, so basically if they're doing any changes to their existing permits.
But haven't we talked about this?
What are we on? A change or alteration?
9.9, also known as 9.6.
Or I have 10.9.
Do we have to say in the bylaw that if you're doing a project, of course you're allowed to revise this?
If you revise it, the permitting authority has the capability of saying you need to reapply. Like you
Okay.
can't change it so drastically after.
Oh, yeah.
Going through
Kind
the
of like
review process.
conservation, whether we
What do we
allow
call
them
this,
to amend the
amendments?
permit.
Just one word, amendments.
Yeah, I would just call it a permit amendment, yeah,
Permit amendments, okay, good.
yeah. That's the title. they have.
Yeah, that sounds
Change or
good.
alteration, okay,
So I'd say permit amendments.
yeah.
We're changing the name to permit amendments. I don't know, why is this not? Why is this not allowing me to change?
Technical difficulties,
It's after 8:30.
that's right there, yeah.
It's after 8:30, but I'd really like to get. This section.
We get to 9. Oh my God, maybe not.
Oh,
Oh, no, we're almost there, come on,
for the love of Pete, why will this not let me select it?
If it's after 8:30.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Cut you down.
All right, philosophical question. Is there any parcel in town, is every parcel considered buildable in Needham, right?
I would say no.
No,
Okay. Like if it's,
There are parcels that actually designate as not a buildable lot, and surveys produce,
really?
yeah.
okay,
But there are, for example, in the zoning act in Master Law 48, there are certain exemptions for lots that are under 5,000 square feet.
Right.
Can be protected.
Not sure.
In certain cases, and then, they recently changed that to say, lots that were, a lot of times if you had,
I didn't yet.
like if you had
Because I keep- well,
two
it's
5,000
selected.
square foot lots, side by side,
Operation or land
they became automatically combined under the old zoning act. Now, there's a procedure where that can
I
be,
guess, or permit amendments.
that can be
Redivided.
reestablished.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so, this was the whole sweeping change of affordable housing and the
Right,
ADUs
yeah.
and all of that, it's that piece of it.
But if you have a building already on there, then. I think you eliminate your ability. to
What if you can't build it down?
redivide it,
Then
right?
you just have a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
Here's-
there's a lot of,
Right.
nuances to it.
all right, some properties are like, and some houses built into ledge, right? So in a weird way, the whole lot is impermeable.
Mhm.
So can they say, I have not changed the impermeability of anything here? I have, you know,
I started,
I started, yeah, I had nothing, I still have nothing,
Yeah, I think that would more fall under the classification of poor soils,
Yeah.
more soils.
where you'd be allowed to tie into the,
Yeah,
yeah, and then that way you'd be capturing
This.
more stuff that would normally just run off the property
right,
and you capture it.
Do like a rebel.
above ground storage.
above some storage,
Okay.
They
right?
can have like music pump through them and vibrates the land.
I do one of those houses, like I think on Polaris Road, or something like that, you did Needham Wellesley line.
Yeah, I still don't know the town that well.
Yeah.
I got a long way to
Yeah.
go.
And that's Wellesley, they built into ledge, and it was like, it's like digging a bathtub.
Yeah.
Or.
Yeah,
You know, water runs through rock.
Yeah, isn't that a comfortable?
it does, yeah.
I feel like.
Are we losing our concentration?
Yeah.
No,
Did we fix this?
not at
or-
all.
She's having
Yeah,
trouble with
my,
that.
oh, sorry, my,
The 8:30 kickoff.
stopped it and I had to restart.
Okay.
Because it just is not, it was not responding to me anymore. Apparently I irritated it.
If we can make it through, do you wanna try to make it through section 9, chapter 9? And- wait. Guys, here, knock it off.
Oh, so that page is blank. Yes. Okay,
We can talk conceptually here, even if we can't
Right,
get it.
Not yet, not until I changed the name on this one. So we changed it to now, what was it again?
Permit amendments.
Permit amendments, thank you. Permit,
Is it tight?
yeah. For whatever reason.
do you not like that? Tom's looking concerned.
No, he was.
Oh, yeah,
taking it-
it's
I was
taken,
taking my-
the type is taken like it's delayed.
right.
So she did all the typing and nothing showed up and then suddenly, but
Frank comes to. All right,
Alright, so that was 9.6. I don't know why it's important for me to keep up with the numbering system. I have no idea why I've chosen to do that,
thank you.
but it's a thing now for
It's
me.
not a board of health.
Maybe that's your early life as a librarian or something.
Well, more than likely.
All right, so we can revise basically the native one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
or-
permit amendments, I'm moving it here. And so if the permitting authority. And we can change the name.
Yeah.
Mine's in amendments.
You want me to show you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you why. So we got rid of those, removed those. So the 9.3 was the entry. Right,
Nine point
entry.
two is fees, yeah. And then 9.3 is right of entry.
Yeah.
9.4 is appeal process.
The hearing, we got rid of the hearing.
Yeah.
Oh. Thanks, Kim. All right.
Correct number.
Okay. permit amendments is 9.5.
I didn't get rid of that.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. All right, if the permitting authority determines that changes or alterations to the proposed project,
Or the approved project. We're talking about amendment.
approved project
Right,
is significant changes or alterations is significant based on the design requirements listed in the regulations under this
So what do you mean-
bylaw.
What do you mean by
Okay.
significant?
Well, I'll come back to that word in just a second, because I had the same question. The may be required. Required. To submit. Is a full application or a new
You,
application?
I think,
Application. Alright, we'll fix the wording on it.
Yeah.
So Josh, going back to here, so, in order to say if the changes or alterations to the approved project is significant, I would rather say like, or the
material,
material changes or alterations to the approved project.
Yeah.
How do we feel
Yeah,
about that,
that's
Joe?
clear. Thank you.
yeah, and it's. The authority that gets to determine that,
Mhm.
not the applicant.
yes,
And that, because there can be such wide ranges and differences of types of projects. We need it a little bit vague.
right,
Okay, so if the permitting authority determines material changes or alterations to the approved project is significant based on
oh, material,
the design requirements listed in the regulations under this bylaw, the applicant may be required to resubmit a new application.
So I have a question about this.
Yes,
If a neighbor complains, does the permitting authority have to review whether any changes have been made to the plan?
Depending on what the complaint was. If they were claiming that,
They're getting flooded or something like that.
or that the proposal is not going to work. You know, we would take a look at it, of course, and then, but then we would have to determine. You know, the bylaw is pretty clear on what they have to do, so if they design according to the bylaw, and the neighbor just doesn't like that. Not much we can do, but if the neighbor can say it doesn't comply with the bylaw because
Right.
XXX, then we would certainly have to take that into consideration.
and I don't think that's this section here, permit amendments, I think that would be under, enforcement, yeah. This permit amendments is more like the applicant themselves is making changes, like if they go through the whole thing and say, oh, hey, I just, won the lottery, I now wanna add, a viewing room in my basement, let me add that to the plans, but we've already gone through the whole permitting, like Joe's gonna be like, you need to submit a new permit, like
Yeah.
you're not
Right,
you're not
but,
using.
but sometimes, actually somewhat common, they could show on the plan, I'm gonna put my Caltech here,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then they dig the hole and there's ledge there, there's a big boulder, so okay, I wanna put my Caltech over here.
Yeah.
Probably an insignificant change, but we wouldn't say,
Yeah.
file a whole new application, just give us a revised plan.
We run into that.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay.
all right.
So surety for stormwater permits. Well, first of all, we don't have stormwater permits.
I know.
But, and we do have a requirement for bonds for the contractors and stuff, but.
Not typically on building permits.
But not on a building permit, so. Do we think we
Land,
need that?
land disturbance, you might need it if it's a big enough land disturbance.
Yeah, if somebody starts and really totally gets the
Yeah.
disturbance part done and then bails out, then.
For example, Coca-Cola. You know, they remodeled their whole plants, by
Right.
tearing down a portion, they're incorporating that was in that office building into the main office building, and then they're redoing the parking lot. So now that they're getting to that parking lot work, the planning board is asking for a bond on that to make sure that that gets done. Just in case Coca-Cola goes out of business. But that's an example of when
Yeah.
they're required.
Okay,
So.
all right, so,
I'd like to ask Trip. He sees it. Being the deterrent, well,
Yeah, I don't think you put it on single family homes, so.
yeah,
so maybe we just say surety for.
Instead, surety bonds.
Surety bonds, perfect.
Yep, stormwater authority, which will change it to.
Yeah.
Whatever. They require the applicant to post before the start of the land disturbance or construction activity, a surety bond, irrevocable letter of credit, cash or other acceptable security. Did they turn the air conditioner on? Because I really.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. The form of the bond to be approved by the stormwater authority and to be an amount deemed sufficient by. Again, they use the word stormwater authority about 82 times to ensure that the work will be completed in accordance with the permit. If project is phased, the stormwater authority may release part of the bond as each phase is completed and compliant with the permit.
Typically requirements for bonds, specifics of the bond is approved by town council.
Okay.
The language,
and that says that right in this one. Approved by town council, the native version.
Okay,
I think in the planning board regs, it says that, or at least in their decisions, I think that's how they put it.
So it's may require, so it leaves it open,
shall be approved by town council, okay.
so residential.
We squeeze that in.
Well,
We require for street permits bond.
But we could have a residential, we could have a subdivision, we could build in 72 houses instead of one. We
I
may
took that
want to
sentence
require.
out, added it to the other one, and we can. Work it. Ooh, oh, wow. Right.
What you imagine?
We can work it after this. Okay,
Good.
done.
Good.
Next.
Next,
Anybody remember that commercial? Work with us in one? Next.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Big Dutch Conrad is open
Um,
till 11.
So how did this get in here? Nobody has it.
Peer review for stormwater permits. It was in,
It must have been in the other one that we.
it was in another one, not the ones we chose, the three that we chose. It was in some other
okay,
one. So I'm saying get rid of that.
I
Get rid of
agree.
it because it goes back to the
What are you
53
getting
G.
rid of?
Love it.
What is
peer
that?
review. for
Peer
sure.
review.
Oh,
It's not applicable.
It's not.
Okay, and final reports for stormwater permits.
Final reports for stormwater permits.
Would these be building permits and land permits?
Yeah, building permits, we get, they're captured in the,
Yeah.
we always get an as-built plan at the end showing, yep, everything went according to what we proposed.
Yeah, so
So-
I mean, that all gets covered later in the requirement of.
Yeah, I think the only
plan.
question would be, because when for a building report, we require an as-built, but for a land disturbance,
Yeah.
would we require something that says?
We could maybe say, as-built plans or reports may be required.
It would, these, a final report be required to get your bond back? If you,
Final permit reports.
since we just asked for surety,
Maybe.
maybe we need to say annual jury report, that, I bet that might be a requirement.
Some towns require recording at registry deeds, a deed notice of a stormwater system.
Okay.
With an O and M. So sometimes, we might say that in this.
Final permit reports.
Yeah, I like the model bylaw one.
Alright,
um,
Do you think we should
Yeah,
rename
or
it
even
the
the
annual
yes.
permit reports?
Ongoing reporting.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
okay.
So why wouldn't this be over? Later on, there we talk about everything that's required in the document, we kind of go down through the list, O&M plan.
The
et
only
cetera, et
reason-
Cetera,
the-
as-built drawings, why not final report?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason why I like the statement on here is because it states at the last sentence in that model paragraph. Stormwater authority by regulation may require ongoing reporting to ensure long-term compliance, including but not limited to appropriate operation and maintenance of stormwater BMPs. That may give us a leg up in our ability to get the information that we would need to claim credit for private BMPs with the EPA. Because as of right now, we have no mechanism that requires a private entity to give us a report on a
Oh,
BMP,
okay.
other than potentially giving them a credit on their stormwater assessment.
Mhm.
But if it's a pain in the ass to do, and the stormwater assessment's $30 a quarter, I mean, maybe who can bother?
You're becoming silent.
I am being very silent, so that's my whole shtick, but you know.
An interesting
My,
point.
my stormwater fee assessment every year is $100 a year, so $30 a quarter, you gotta.
$30 a year, right? You
Yeah,
said
$30 a year, I'm sorry, $30 a year, so it's $9 a quarter.
And
Are you
same,
kidding me?
same, same.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, I get it, I get the whole argument is more about the premise of it, that it is, you know, it's gonna go up, you know, it's going to increase, it's going to be a thing, however.
Till you get used to it.
So
Say that
spend,
loud- say that louder.
spend more in Starbucks.
Yeah.
Gotta be kidding.
It's the cost of a cup of coffee.
Oh, God.
That's right.
You can't even buy a Big Mac anymore for less than $10, I mean, come on. Anyways,
Could you make a note that
Don't tell me.
I'd like to review including it at this location versus having it over in the next section?
Sure.
You can move it for now, but I still sort of feel like it belongs over on components of, in section 10.
The
If we
procedure.
list everything that we're doing, why not have a final report?
gotcha.
Okay.
But I see your point.
Final, so instead of final report, what did you wanna do? Final report,
Final permit report.
Final permit report, reports.
so
Great.
ding, ding, ding. Done. Okay, so that one's gonna go here, and you wanted me to note possibly applicable to section 10, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you want to start section? No.
Next week.
Then next week, right? When are we meeting next?
We meet on Wednesday next week.
Oh, that's right.
We meet the next 3 Wednesdays in a
Yeah,
row.
Yeah, that'd
the
be good.
26th, the 2nd, and the 9th.
Yep.
Are our meeting days. If we want to add another one after that or anything like that, you just need to let me know by that last meeting, so we can kind of get rooms and stuff like that handled. I'm hoping by then we have the draft done, so we can forward this to interested parties and legal,
Legal firm.
and giving them time to review and whatever. So we really kind of need to
Yeah, and we,
kick it in gear.
this was great, we got through a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
All right, I
think we're
would
doing okay.
accept a motion to adjourn. All right, second.
Motion to
I
adjourn
second it.
is Joe Parneck, seconded
I'll
by
second.
Tom
All
Ryder.
right, John Salo,
Yes.
Joshua Levy,
Yes.
all right. Susan Barbara,
Yes.
Janine, are you here?
Yes.
All right, Preston,
Yes.
all right, Tom Ryder,
Yes.
Deb Anderson,
Oh, yes.
Bill Parneck, of course, and the chair. Votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Wow.
26, is it right?
They're in my little book.
So we're on to plans now, right?
Stormwater is 26, is that right?
We're on to plans.
I believe so, yes.
That sounds reasonable.
I gotta go eat. About 26.
We'll get to eat.
I'm not gonna be here until next week.
Okay,
Okay.
Was there something out for the second?
Like-
yeah,
Thank you.
so we
All right,
have
thank you, Joe.
the second.